Welcome to this season's MLB predictions from Sports Casuals. I'm Carl Martin. I will be hosting with Anthony. Try to take a guess which one of us is the casual about the MLB and which one knows what they're talking about.
And which one sat there doing nothing the whole time?
And with that, let's throw it to Anthony and talk about MLB standings predictions here.
All right. Well, we're gonna start. We're gonna start in the AL East. Should we start at the top in the penthouse or in the outhouse at the bottom?
Start at the bottom. Who do
Bottom.
you think is the
Uh,
worst?
At the bottom, I do have the Blue Jays, and a lot of that is just because does anyone, including the people in Toronto, actually believe in the Blue Jays at this point?
They're
It just
pretty
kind of
gung
feels like they. It kind of just feels like they lost their opportunity after a couple consecutive playoff failures. And things are just getting weird over there. Like you hear all these stories about how they're willing to spend 700, 800 million dollars on Juan Soto, but they refuse to spend 500 million on Vlad. Um, I don't see a whole lot going right for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, neither do
Their
I.
their their rotation is it's just held together by pins and needles. You got the corpse of Max Scherzer, who's already injured, and then you have Kevin Gosman, who's injured and old, and then you have Chris Bassett, who's injured and old. Yeah, I just don't see a whole lot going right for them.
I agree with that.
Then in fourth place, I do have the Red Sox. I think we need to cool the Red Sox hype to this point. A lot of the projections that people are getting from them are believing that they're going to get key contributions from their trio of star rookies, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and Christian Campbell. And we always, every year, when you start hearing about the top prospects, everyone since 1991 has supposedly going to be the next Ken Griffey Jr. And evidently enough, we do not have 3 decades worth of Ken Griffey Jr.'s. So even if those three are good, you're not going to get huge contributions from them as rookies. And other than that, I just don't really believe in their rotation. They got Crochet, but then Tanner Houck hasn't proven it for a second year. Brian Bayo, a nobody. So I got them in fourth. Tampa Bay Rays in third. And that's mainly just because no matter how shitty they look on paper, they always kind of find a way to be
It's the Rays.
semi-competitive.
It's the Rays
It's
way.
the Rays. Yeah. They're still benefiting from the Delman Young trade tree, of course.
Terrible.
Definitely check that out, delmanyoungtradetree.com. It's a phenomenal website. Yeah, it's just they just keep continuing to churn out pitching. So McClanahan, he's probably gonna miss a couple months at least after having, I think he has like a nerve issue in his bicep, tricep, something that's shut him down. But they still have really good pitching options. You got Junior Caminero, star rookie. Everyone kind of just assumes he's going to be the guy, so we'll finally get to see. You're kind of counting on bounce backs from other guys in your lineup like Yandy Diaz and Josh Lowe, who was on the verge of superstardom before kind of getting hurt and having a rough year last year. So I have them in third. Yankees in second. Originally, I did have the Yankees winning the division again, but kind of like Blue Jays, it's starting to get weird in New York. First, they lose out on Juan Soto, so they kind of go the classic Yankee route of we're just going to bring in really old guys.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring in Paul Goldschmidt, and we're going to try to make that work. We're going to be the retirement home of MLB.
The classic.
But then Cole under the knife with Tommy John, that is a big loss. And then you
courtesy
also
of the
lose Clark Schmidt.
One. Courtesy of the Minnesota Twins on that one.
Courtesy of the Minnesota Twins. Oh yeah. Well, since he's hurt, I guess the Twins could trade for him because we know they love doing that.
Could be a move. Could be a move.
Yeah, don't get me started about that.
What do you think about
yeah,
the
it's
Orioles?
just Orioles. That's division winner. They refuse to spend money. They want to be the anti-Dodgers. They refuse to comp or add anything of note, but they still have the most talent of anyone in the division. They just signed Minnesota Twin legend Kyle Gibson to a
Oh,
1-year contract.
oh no.
So that's fun. Ultimate Chad innings eater.
Definitely.
But I have to imagine at some point they'll make a trade. They'll move one of their big prospects to get a pitcher or a key bat or something. Or they'll just continue to win 90 games and exit in the first round of the playoffs. Which
Yeah.
kind of seems to be their way.
I agree with that. We don't have too much different between my projections for the AL East and yours. I have Red Sox losing it. I just don't see them winning more than 75 games. Granted, I know nothing. This is all gut feeling for me. Got Red Sox in the bottom. Got the Jays finishing fourth. I think their offense will be able to provide enough for them to scrap together more wins than the Red Sox, but they're not finishing higher than fourth, in my opinion. I got the Rays right in the middle, right where they belong, number 3 spot every year. And then I got Yankees at 2 as well. And the Orioles, I just see them as a powerhouse of that division. And I think they could probably knock on the door of 100 wins.
Does Gunnar Henderson missing the start of the year on the injured list, does that concern you at all, or not really?
No. I think they will be able to provide enough stopgap offense to keep them in.
Well, it can't get much worse than it did in the second half for them last year, but
No.
yeah, it's a weird division. A lot of people think it's going to be one of the better divisions. I could easily see this division only having one playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, 2026, 2027, I'd imagine this becomes one of the more competitive divisions in baseball, but right now I don't know. I could see it getting weird real fast. But let's hop over to the Central. Where I'm pretty sure we'll agree on this one, finishing in dead last. I got the Mighty Whiteys. To be honest, I'd have to pull up their depth chart because I don't think I can name 5 players on the White Sox right now.
Yeah.
But they essentially went from being the worst team of all time to cutting bait with even more players. You get rid of Garrett Crochet, who's pretty much the only competitive pitcher on your staff. And yeah, I got the depth chart pulled up here. I mean, tell me if you know how many of these guys you know going first to third. So first base, Andrew Vaughn. Second base, Josh Rojas. Third base, Miguel Vargas. And starting shortstop is Lennon Sosa.
I've heard a couple of the names, but
Andrew Vaughn, you probably remember, highly drafted prospect that was destroyed in classic White Sox fashion.
Oh yeah.
Here's a fun one for you. Former Minnesota Twins legend Michael A. Taylor is the 4th string center fielder, so that's something to watch for.
There it is.
That's a 100-win team right there.
I could easily see them breaking their own record and losing even more games than they did last year. It just can't get any worse in Chicago. It's nice to have. It's nice to have a team in your division that you can just continuously beat up on.
Yep.
And I could see the Central having 3 playoff teams just because those teams combined to go 60-0 against the White Sox. So we'll see there.
Yeah, I
A lot of people,
have the White Sox in last as well. Spoiler.
they're the only team that has a 0% chance to make the playoffs in the Vegas sportsbook.
Oh my god. Yeah, tough times in Chicago.
A lot of people are high on the Royals. I'm not high on the Royals. I think they overperformed last year, kind of being a year ahead. And the only move they really made in the offseason was bringing in Jonathan India. Rookie of the year, Jonathan India of Reds legend.
Right back.
But not, I mean, they signed Carlos Estevez to be a bullpen arm, but they're Bobby Witt Jr. reliant. If he gets hurt, their season's over. He's literally a 10 WAR player last year, and that's the difference between them making the playoffs and finishing under 500. Even if he plays at a superstar level, there's no guarantee that things work out there. I do like their pitching staff, but it kind of seems like there's some built-in regression for them. And then in third place, I do have our Minnesota Twins. It's hard to be excited about a team that forgot how to play baseball in the second half last year. And when you are constantly reliant on your three best players to not get injured and play under 100 games every year, everyone says, Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa stay healthy for a full season. This team's going to win 95 games. They're going to run away with the division. Well, Royce Lewis is already hurt. He can't run to first base without hurting himself. We all know Buxton's gonna, his knee's just going to spontaneously combust. And I don't know what's going on with Correa, but he'll develop plantar fasciitis and something else. He'll find a way to develop it in something that's not his foot. So I have them in third. I also have them missing the playoffs, although albeit close, because they do have the best depth offensively of any team in the division. Second place, I got the Tigers. I like a lot. I like what we're seeing in Detroit. They have arguably the best pitcher in baseball with Tariq Skubal. They brought back Jack Flaherty, which is big for them. They got some key rookies. We'll see if guys like Jackson Jobe can contribute in the rotation, but they're building something special there. They're probably a year or so away from really being able to contend, but I see them doing well and making the playoffs. Excuse me. And then, of course, first place, I got the Cleveland baseball team. They're the best poverty franchise in professional sports.
Oh.
They refuse to spend money, but they have even more success than the Rays. So I would imagine that they once again put out seven position players that you've never heard of and go out and win 90 games and win the division pretty easily. So
there you go.
I also have the most underrated player in baseball. When you're underrated when you quietly almost put up a 40-40 season and no one's talking about it, and you don't finish top 2 in MVP voting. Jose Ramirez is quietly the most underrated player in baseball.
Yeah, he's definitely a dog. And I have him dragging them to a division title as well. I'm going to go Cleveland at 1. I do think the Twins can take the step necessary to finish second here. But I'm a homer. I'm wearing Twin shit, so take it with a grain of salt. I got the Royals in third. I think they're just going to be a solid 85 win team, probably. I think the Tigers do take a step back from what they accomplished last year and probably finish around 500, maybe 82 and 80. And the White Sox are going to lose 162 games.
Okay, take it easy on my White Sox there, buddy.
You're a White Sox fan?
I'm from Illinois,
my
so I
gosh.
try to defend them a little bit here, but
my condolences. Between having the White Sox and the Bears, it's
Vikings
it's
and
tough.
The worst of both worlds.
Vikings. Yeah, Jose Ramirez quietly already has 50 career WAR, so
yeah,
he is the quietest first ballot Hall of Famer we're ever gonna see. You're gonna see him get on the Hall of Fame ballot one day, and you're just gonna say, "Oh yeah, he was pretty good," and you're gonna look at his Pro Baseball Reference and say, "Oh, he had 85 career WAR." Okay, he had more WAR than Mike Trout. Mike Trout played a combined 85 games in his 30s.
Poor Mike Trout.
which leads us into our next division, the AL West, where in last place I do have the mighty Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, as I'm reliably informed that they are still called. They're They are also a poverty franchise, but a poverty franchise that loves to spend money. It's probably the weirdest operated franchise in professional sports, where they're perfectly fine going out and paying Anthony Rendon $250 million to not play baseball, but I can't remember who it was. The Angels just took a guy to arbitration, and he won his arbitration case for $2 million, but they didn't want to pay him $2 million, so they cut him. And I'm blanking on his name. He was the first overall pick by the Phillies.
Oh.
I gotta pull this guy's name up now.
Oh,
Mickey Moniak. Yeah, Mickey Moniak. He won his arbitration case, but they didn't want to pay him $2 million, so they cut him. So that's the Angels for you. But their entire season relies on Mike Trout not getting hurt and 6-7 other guys learning how to play baseball. So there's not a whole lot to like there. Baffling offseason moves. They give a bunch of money to Yusei Kikuchi, who's a pretty middling career pitcher. They bring in Travis d'Arnaud, who I didn't know was still in baseball, but he's there.
Yeah, he's a
They
guy.
brought in Kenley Jansen. They might be the new retirement home. They're the Arizona Cardinals of the MLB. But I could easily see them losing 100 games. There's just not a whole lot to like in Anaheim. In fourth place, I do have the Houston Astros. I see a big regression coming. It feels like it's over. It
Yeah.
feels like it's finally over. They had that stretch where they were in the ALCS every year. And last year it was broken. It was like a decade, because wasn't it almost a decade? It was like 2016 or 2017 to present.
Yeah, I think
that
it
was
was
snapped last.
years.
You're losing key contributors. Verlander was old, but he's gone, and that leaves a lot of question marks in that rotation, because you really only have two established starters now with Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're relying on other guys to step up. But you're moving Altuve to left field, which seems like the ultimate desperation move. I don't know why they're doing that, but you lose Bregman, you trade Tucker. Now that trade does look like it could age pretty well, because the prospect that they got actually made their opening day roster, Cam Smith. So keep an eye on him. But I could just see this kind of being the beginning of the end, and maybe they finish under 500 and just completely blow it up. A good run in Houston. Everyone kind of forgets about the cheating scandal.
Yeah.
Because then you find out that basically everyone in baseball was doing it and stealing the signs. 2019, the ball was juiced, and it's like the Twins hit 307 home runs, and they have two Astros who are part of the cheating scandal on their team. It's like, you think they might have been stealing some signs?
Maybe.
I was at that Yankees game where no pitcher could get an out for 4 hours, and there might have been some sign stealing. My surprise team is going to be the Athletics, no longer of Oakland, just not Sacramento either. They're just the Athletics.
The Athletics
is now that they finally got sold. Their owner was like, okay, we can go out and spend some money now. So they signed their highest paid free agent ever, Luis Severino. Remember him? He was the guy the Twins blew up in that wild card game.
Yeah.
Back in 2017.
Oh yeah.
So he's their ace. He's making like $20 million a year for 3 years, and that's their highest paid player in franchise history, getting 2002 Jason Giambi money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're an interesting team. They have a lot of young players I like. They have my favorite prospect in baseball, Jacob Wilson, who's just a hits machine. He's kind of a one-tool guy. He just makes contact, and he does that really well. He hit almost 400 in the minors this year, so he should be a fun player. Any other team with the pitching staff of the Mariners would walk away with this division or run away with this division, but despite having 5 number one pitchers on their staff, they're still probably not going to win 90 games because they got a weird batter's eye in center field that people can't seem to hit a ball at, and they also refuse to spend money on offense. So Mariners, I have them finishing second, and then I think the Rangers start to figure it out this year. They do kind of have an embarrassment of riches. DeGrom's always hurt, but they quietly have the best pitcher of the last decade coming back. And if he can just pitch 100 innings for you and be healthy for the playoffs, they're going to be dangerous. Nathan Eovaldi has been quietly one of the most most under the radar solid pitchers that we've seen in recent memory. So he's going to be holding it down. They got Kumar Rocker, top prospect, coming up. He's going to make the team. Jack Leiter's probably going to make the team. Wyatt Langford, I imagine he takes a big step forward, and you still got Corey Seager. Can expect bounce backs from Adolis Garcia and Jonah Heim specifically, because they were pretty atrocious last year, but they were big contributors on the World Series run. And then guys like Evan Carter, who are going to start the year in the minors because of injury and just a rough year, but he's only a year or so removed from being like the number 5 prospect in baseball and slashing 300, 400, 500 through September through the World Series. So I have to imagine he'll get the call up and be good at some point. I could very easily see the Rangers being the best team in the American League.
I agree with that. I have them finishing 1 in that division as well. I got a lot of differences, though. I got the Angels finishing second because, in my mind, my got stem cell treatment over the winter in every part of his body, so he won't get hurt. He's going to hit 60 and steal 50 bags. He's going to win the MVP.
Well, the last time he was healthy, he was pacing to hit 60 home runs because he hit 40 through 120 games.
Yeah, he's got it in him. I think if he stays healthy, he could drag this team, but probably won't happen.
You think if he DHs, have him DH, completely give up on the contact, just go solely for power, hit 205 and break the home run record. Come on, Mike, let's do it.
I got Seattle finishing third. Like you said, with their rotation, they're just nasty, but they can't hit. So they'll win 81 to 85 games, and every one of their pitchers will have a sub-3 ERA. I got the Astros in fourth as well, and I got the A's. Got the A's down in fifth. I've never believed in the A's, and I'll be damned if I start believing this year.
When they make the playoffs, you're gonna be eating your words.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
It would be funny if the actual poverty franchise of Major League Baseball made the playoffs.
Yeah,
they haven't been relevant in years, but
their last year in Cali, they just go out with a bang.
They should be fun. They'll be playing at the in class. This is the most athletics thing ever, but of course they'll be playing at the Yankees the Yankees spring training facility.
No, that's the Rays. That's the Rays.
Oh, that's the Rays. Where are they playing? They're playing at the Yankees minor league stadium.
Yeah, because their roof got ripped off in the hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
I
was clearly. I know there's 2 teams that play in the minor league stadium, but
it's definitely the A's.
The Athletics are one of them.
The A's right. Probably in a AAA stadium or something.
AAA, yeah, that sounds about right. It's the Athletics. Who really cares? They're not going to be competitive for another 2-3 years.
No.
As much as I'd love for them to be.
What do you think?
Hop on over to? I was thinking over the 3 wild cards.
Oh yeah,
I got the Yankees, Mariners, and the Tigers.
Yeah, Yankees. Who in the Tigers?
Yankees, Mariners, Tigers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I got Twins as the second wild card. I think it's either going to be the Yankees as the first wild card, or if the Angels pull that shit out, Mike Trout, he'll drag them to the number one
That's
wild.
a hot take. It's a
Very
hot take.
And then third wild card team, I think it's either going to be Seattle or Detroit. It's going to be one of those teams. It's going to come down to the last 3 days of the season for the third wild card in the AL, though.
Mike Trout over under 120 games played.
Over. He's playing 162.
162. Okay. Very bold. Very bold.
Let's move on to
that. Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on. Makes me depressed talking Trout.
Oh yeah, it's very sad. In the NL East, I got the Marlins finishing last. I think they're probably going to be a 100-loss team. They will win most of Alcantara's starts and no one else's.
How long is how long is Sandy going to actually be on the roster for, though? I think he's traded before June 1st.
I don't know. I think it really just depends on who steps up right away. If the Yankees or Dodgers come up here and start throwing around their fake prospects that they pay MLB or Baseball America to rate highly, then you could see him shipped off quick. But if they don't, he'll probably be there till the deadline.
Hey, just because Spencer Jones struck out 200 times in 110 minor league games doesn't mean he's not a top 50 prospect.
Hey, they know what they're doing.
He's the same height as Aaron Judge. That means he's the next Aaron Judge.
Definitely.
Of course, I do own that guy in one of my dynasty teams, but yeah.
There you go. I got the Nationals.
A chance.
I got the Nationals finishing fourth.
Can you name? This is a trick question for you, not including Sandy Alcantara. Can you name one other player on the Marlins?
Mike Stanton.
I forgot his name was Mike at one time.
I cannot.
Like, you go by John Barlow or Mike? He's like, Mike?
Mike.
Because I got to be honest, just looking at this roster, it's pretty sad. This might be the worst offensive roster I've ever seen in my life.
Do you have
only two guys I'm familiar with? Connor Norby, of course, because he was top prospect traded from Baltimore, and then Xavier Edwards, because he kind of took over the Luis Arias role for them, only he can actually steal bases.
Yeah.
I'll let you continue now.
I have the Nationals finishing fourth.
I get excited about my terrible MLB teams.
Very exciting teams. I got the Nationals finishing fourth. Not much to this. They don't have much excitement on the team, and I think that'll reflect in their record. I got the Mets finishing third. I don't think the Soto signing is going to be enough to push them over the edge. Spoiler, I have 3 NL East teams making the playoffs here. So we got Mets will obviously sneak in as that last wild card. Then I got the Phillies finishing second. I think Wheeler is just one of the top pitchers, top 10, top 15 pitchers in baseball probably. And he's just proven he can generally stay healthy. So I think him dragging him for 34 starts, plus you almost always get MVP level performances out of Bryce Harper. So I think that'll just continue, especially with him moving to first. Like, he's not going to run into an outfield wall anymore. So he'll hopefully be able to stay healthy because he's a lot of fun to watch. And then I got the Braves finishing in first. I think they are going to lead the NL in wins if you don't count the Dodgers because they're in their own stratosphere. So
the Dodgers in a category where their expectation is sweep in the World Series or its season's a bust.
pretty much.
Like if they win the World Series in 6 again, or if they win the World Series in 6, they won it. I think they won in 5 last year. Who cares?
Yeah.
If they win the World Series in 6, is that a disappointment? Like they weren't able to take care of business in 4?
Yeah, for sure.
That
How do you
I have the exact
You have the exact
same standings as you. Exact same.
There we go.
They got some fun players. I like James Wood. I have James Wood on a lot of dynasty teams. I like Dylan Cruz. I have him on a lot of dynasty teams. They're still a year or two away. They're an up and coming team. They actually handled their trades fairly well, I would say. Like the Juan Soto trade it's going to work out for them because they got back James Wood, and crap, I'm so bad with names. CJ Abrams. Yeah, they got back those two, and those two are going to be core pieces of them for years to come. Strangely enough, both teams that have traded Juan Soto have done pretty well because the Padres, they got Michael King, and he's quickly turning into an ace. Yeah, Mets, one player does not fix a franchise, and they were getting hot at the end of the season or they were a couple games away from not even making the playoffs last year. They just got hot at the right time. And I don't see Juan Soto putting them above the Phillies and the Braves. The Mets starting pitching is just a mess right now. Their opening day starter is Clay Holmes, who was the Yankees closer last year. So they're relying on stretching out a closer to be your ace.
That'll go wonderfully. That will go so.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah.
But other than that, even the guys who are hurt, they're relying on bounce backs from Frankie Montas, who hasn't been relevant in 2-3 years at this point. Yeah, I think they need to address pitching next offseason. They're probably still a year or so away. But they could make some moves because the Phillies, who I have in second place, they're one of the older teams in baseball. Basically, their entire core is over 30 now. Harper's in his early 30s. Turner will be 32 middle of the year. Schwarber's 32. I think Castellanos is 34. Wheeler's 34. Nola 31, I believe. This is kind of the year they have. For me, it's a make or break year for the Phillies. If they don't win the World Series, or at least make it to the World Series, you kind of have to think of the season as an absolute bust. Just because who knows how much longer they can keep this up. Schwarber, I think it's his last year in Philly too. The Braves are far and away the best team in the league. They still made the playoffs last year, despite having down years from everyone across the board. Not only Acuna, people forget that before Acuna tore his ACL, he was having a terrible year. He's hitting 250 after, hitting 300 and creating the 40-70 club. But he'll be back at some point. Matt Olson had an abysmal year, hit under 30 home runs. Ozzie Albies got hurt, but he was hitting low 200s. Worst season since for their Austin Riley, worst season as a pro last year since he became a full-time starter. Michael Harris hurt as per usual. So we'll see what happens this year. Strider will be back too. Strider missed the whole year. They're just a powerhouse. They're the only team that I could realistically see competing against the Dodgers. And even then, by compete, I mean, they'll probably lose the NLCS in 6 games.
Yeah. What's going on in the AL Central? NL Central.
NL Central? Perfect. All right, let's pull this up. It's an interesting one. Who do you have finishing in last?
The Cincinnati Reds.
The Reds, okay. I got the Pirates in last.
Okay.
Mainly because they don't have anyone offensively that I like outside of Brian Reynolds.
Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah, Andrew McCutchen. We were McCutchen fans on Sports Casuals.
Isn't he like 38 now, Andrew McCutchen? Is he a full-time DH or does he still play?
He's not even a full-time DH. He'll probably play 80 games.
Yeah, this is his age 38 season.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing with that.
Here's a question for you though.
Okay.
Who has more career WAR, Andrew McCutchen or Bryce Harper?
McCutchen.
It's Bryce Harper, but it's only by 1.
Oh,
Harper has 50 and McCutchen has 49.
Defense
So-
matters. Center field defense
It's
matters.
just funny because he was a abysmal defender.
No,
In his noodle arm in center field, he used to just airmail the ball to home plate.
no, you can't airmail stuff
Love
with a
him.
noodle. You're inaccurate if you airmail it. It's a noodle if you're Ben Revere.
Oh, believe me, I have a noodle arm and I still airmail the ball in softball all the time.
Oh God. Well, I'm not too far
14
off.
on base in 2014.
I'm not too far off on you with them. I have them finishing 4th. So it's going to be pick and choose. Though those two are both going to win like 60 games in my opinion. Not like 60 in the 60 range.
I have the Reds winning the division. No, I don't. I can't say that. Yeah, Pirates. I just think they're gonna suck. They got Paul Skeens and not a whole lot else. I was kind of excited for their rotation when it went Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and then Mitch Keller. And Jared Jones probably gonna need Tommy John because he's getting a bunch. They're like, oh, he has a UCL strain. I'm like, no, he needs Tommy John.
Yeah.
Just when you're getting second, third, and fourth opinions on an elbow, you need Tommy John. Just be honest with yourself.
Yeah. Don't ruin
You
your
probably won't see him for 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pirates, they're going to win a lot of Paul Skeens starts, and they're going to lose a lot on the other 4 days. But in 4th place, I got the Cardinals.
Okay.
As much as it pains me to say it, I think they've kind of run out of gas. As fun as the Sonny Gray revenge game is going to be tomorrow on opening day, I don't think there's a whole lot to look forward to there. Arenado is, I don't know if he's old or angry or hurt or he just doesn't want to be there, but he's clearly not the same player that he's been. It's going to be kind of a reset year where they look to trade away some older guys. Like I highly doubt Sonny Gray, Eric Fetty, Nolan Arenado, probably even Wilson Contreras finish the year with the Cards. They're probably all going to be shipped away around the trade deadline. I could see them winning 75 games, but I think it's more of a evaluate and see what you have type of year for the Cardinals.
That would be smart. Who do you got in 3rd?
Cubs. The Cubs in 3rd.
So do I.
Who do you have in 3rd? Cubs?
I have the Cubs as well. Yeah. 81 and 81.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we need. The Cubs, they kind of just seem lost in limbo ever since they won the World Series. They accomplished their goal. They won their World Series, and now they can suck for another 100 years.
Yep.
It's not for lack of trying. They traded for Kyle Tucker, which he only played half a season, but if you look at his numbers, he was pacing to be like a 45 home run, 400 on base, 40 stolen base guy. He was really good in the half a season he played. But they haven't extended him, so they sent the farm to Houston for him. It's kind of weird there because he clearly wants a contract extension, but he's also not going to get it because he's probably going to command $500 million because that's just what we're doing in baseball, I guess. But other than him, it's Dansby Swanson. They're paying a bunch of money for a good defensive shortstop who can't really hit. Ian Happ, he's a consistent left fielder, but he's consistently 2010. So there's a clear ceiling there. And then just with the starting pitching, I don't necessarily know if Shota Imanaga is going to be able to keep doing what he did last year. I like Justin Steele, but he can't seem to stay healthy. I just think there's more question marks with the Cubs than there are clear answers. And so I definitely see them underachieving again this year and kind of reevaluating come the end of the year. Evidently enough, paying an MLB manager top dollar doesn't make your team better. It's like you're not getting Andy Reid. No. There's only so many wins you can gain by calling the bullpen to warm your guy up before the home run lands in the stands. which is something that they praised Craig Counsell for when he was with Milwaukee. They're like, look at how good this is. He picked up the bullpen phone to get his closer a couple extra pitches before the home run landed. I'm like, okay, well, can we quantify what that actually does to the team? Because I don't think it's not worth the $10 million or whatever Craig Counsell's making.
No.
It's Chicago, they're destined to suck. They won't be as bad as the mighty Whiteys, though, so they can take solace in that.
There you go.
I got the Reds in second place.
Okay.
Who do you have in second?
I have the Cardinals purely on Nolan Arenado hopium. Just
Opium?
hopium. Not even copium. Just hopium. I would love to see another 40 and 120 season out of him, but and that's that whole thing, that whole type of season just drags them up in my standings here. It probably won't happen.
He's a great season when he gets traded to the Yankees at the end of April.
Yeah, fuck that.
He can reunite with Goldie. They reunite at the corners on the Yankees, and then they can tank the Yankees in the playoffs rather than the Cardinals.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the Reds in second. I think everything that could go wrong did go wrong last year.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time bashing MLB managers, but they got Terry Francona as the coach. And so now we're going to get to see, was it actually Terry or was it just that Cleveland baseball team magic that they got in the air, the polluted, disgusting air over in Cleveland?
Do you think he sold his house in Cleveland and bought one in Cincinnati, or do you think he's going to have two houses in Ohio?
It's a really good question. When I think of where I want my second house, I think, man, I would love a getaway house in Cleveland. I think that would just be phenomenal.
And it'd
be something. Like Ellie De La Cruz, everyone's like, oh, he's gonna go 50-50 while also striking out 250 times. And if there's any human being on the planet who could go 50-50 while striking out 250 times, it's probably Ellie De La Cruz. But
yeah,
I don't know if it's as much an actual belief in the Reds as much as it is, I don't think things can go any worse than they were last year. Yeah. And they have enough good players where they should be fine. Look for Matt McLain to break out. Really good 90-game stretch in 2023. So I could see him kind of carrying the team. Former Dodger legend Gavin Lux, he's there to save the team. He's there to save him. He's going to be the Ben Zobrist.
I got a lot of his rookie cards, so hopefully that pans out.
Did he get enough? Do you know if Ben Zobrist got enough votes to stay on the Hall of Fame ballot?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
I'm gonna have to look that up now. So who do you have winning the division?
The Milwaukee Brewers. If you caught any of their playoff games last year, you'd be an insane person to not agree with this. That team was just looking fun as hell, and it seemed like they have a good locker room every single year, and that's kind of an underrated thing in baseball specifically. But like, if you hate the dude that you're sitting next to 162 times, like, you're not going to want to go to bat for that team. And it seems like every single year they just gel. I don't know if it's something with the
Donaldson 2021 Twins.
Yeah. Like, precisely that. Jackson Chourio is very, very fun, and I hope he doesn't take a step back this year, which is entirely possible considering his age. But they had another youngster that was doing things in the playoffs last year. Can't remember his name, though. It's another
Garrett Mitchell.
It could have been.
I got Garrett. I own Garrett Mitchell in like 80% of my fantasy leagues. Look for him. That's a sneaky 2020 guy. He's got the Byron Buxton thing going. He's really fast, plays good defense, hits well, but he just can't stay healthy.
Damn it.
So if he can play 80 games, he's going to get you 10 homers and 10 stolen bases. I can guarantee you that.
There you go.
The Brewers, they're the Rays of the National League. They don't spend money. They have a very ceiling on. They have a very concrete ceiling on what they can accomplish in the playoffs. But every year they go out and seem to win 85 to 90 games. They're still sending out a good pitching staff. They get Brandon Woodruff back, who we kind of hold our breath on shoulder injuries, but he was one of the best pitchers in baseball when he was healthy. So if he can just get back to being 3.5 ERA guy and pitch 150 innings as opposed to being the 2.5 ERA guy, that's huge for them. So you throw him up with Freddie Peralta, they'll get Tobias Myers back at some point, and then they're essentially just creating relievers on MLB The Show, just creating 99 overall relievers. Like, I'm sure whoever they roll out this year when Trevor McGill flounders, I'm sure he'll just turn into the next Devin Williams, because that's how the Brewers work. But yeah, Churio's great. The Guardians, they have his little brother.
Well, he's going to suck.
He's
on Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, no. What'll happen is Cleveland will trade him away, and then he'll turn into a star somewhere else.
There you go.
But they did get Nolan Jones back, guys, so they're starting to turn it around. Yeah, the Brewers, they'll probably just win. Yelich will play 100 games, and he'll put up 4 WAR. And he won't be healthy for the playoff run, so they'll get bounced in the first round again. But yeah, they're a nice, fun team.
Yeah.
I like Joey Ortiz too. That was a fun little player. I got a video I'm making. I got five breakout hitters for the 2025 season that I'll be releasing at some point in the next week here, and that's a little sneak peek. I got Joey Ortiz on there. Could be a sneaky 5 WAR player with his defense at shortstop.
I like that. So do we want to talk about who's going to finish 2nd to 5th in the NL West?
Well, coming in 2nd place, I got the Colorado Rockies now. Yeah, if the Dodgers, the honest question is just, if the Dodgers don't sweep the World Series, is this season an underachievement? And I think the answer is it might be.
I think they could probably win the World Series in 3. That's just how stupid
it doesn't show up. See, if the Dodgers were to be beaten in the World Series, it would be some crazy stat like they're the first team to lose the World Series despite having a plus 30 run differential. In 2 of the games, they're going to win by 10 to 15. Yeah, how many you think they're going to break the Mariners single season win record? Because I think they might. There's always a chance.
I can see that.
122 and 40
this roster. Like, where's the weak link? Is it Mookie Betts?
They don't have a clearly defined closer.
Yeah, I get that, but like, they're not going to need a closer. Their closer is going to have like 25 save opportunities.
Yeah.
Apparently,
imagine if they'd got
165 pounds right now.
Betts. Oh yeah, no, he's in the 150s.
What happened? Did he get sick? Did he get the norovirus?
They say he had the flu. They don't know what he had. I know they actually I think they did cancer screening on him to make sure he didn't have anything serious. So he's fine, is what they said. Like he's able to start eating again, but I guess he just went a week without being able to eat. He was not a big guy. I think he went from like 175 to 155. Yeah. He'll get down to my 125 soon here. I fully believe it. Even if he is, he'll still go out and he'll hit 30 home runs with a 400 on base.
Yeah.
But they don't even need him. They might as well just put him on ice until the All-Star break and just say, Mookie, we'll get you back. You can help us on our stretch run. But I guess they don't even have a stretch run because they'll just have they'll be the first team to have clinched the division before August.
Oh God!
It's a good division because the funny thing is, if the Dodgers weren't in this division, we'd be talking about how either the Diamondbacks or Padres would probably be the number 1 seed in the NL. It's because the Diamondbacks, they're and the Padres, they're tired of being little brother to the Dodgers. So they went out and well, the Padres already spent too much money, and now they have to start cutting bait. But the Diamondbacks went out and spent money. They got Corbin Burns, and he's been one of the better pitchers in baseball for the past half decade.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for them. They lost who's their first baseman? They lost him to Houston.
Yono
Totally
said.
drawing on his Houston his first base. See, I can never remember names. This just sucks. Damn, I gotta go to their depth chart. So embarrassing. Christian Walker, yeah. So they replaced Christian Walker with no, I can't even remember the other guy. This is how memorable these guys are. Who was the first baseman for Cleveland last year? Kicked
Naylor?
our ass.
Naylor?
Naylor, yeah. They got Josh Naylor too,
Yeah.
which at this point might be an upgrade over Christian Walker, but Corbin Carroll, he's gonna probably remember how to play baseball for the first half of the season this year, unless he's just on his Julio Rodriguez arc where you only play in the second half. They had an over-under on batting average for Julio in the first half. I'd definitely take the under. They should be good. They would be a clear number one seed in any other year if the Dodgers didn't exist. And you could say the same thing about the Padres. Because they have good pitching, they have good bullpen pieces. They got some star bats. It'd be nice if they get a little more out of Xander Bogaerts making $300 million to be a below average player. All three of those teams are good. And then you have the Giants, who I have in fourth, and I'm guessing you also have, well, I should ask, do your rankings differ from mine?
They did, but I forgot that Bueller went to the Diamondbacks. I had this whole division as very, very competitive, 4 teams over 500. But remembering that Bueller is on the D-backs, I'm going to switch them up to third and get the Giants down at fourth. Like, I think the Giants can just be a sneaky 81-81 team, like somewhere in that range, maybe 78, 83. They just always seem to do it. They did it a couple years ago. They look back 3 years ago. They had like 105 wins. Was it? Do you remember that?
Yeah, they had that weird. It was 107 wins. It was the weirdest 107 win team ever. Because the Dodgers had like 105 and they beat them out.
Yeah. Like I think they can just be.
Here's the question: age 42 season, Justin Verlander, 20 wins, Cy Young Award.
I think 25.
25.
Yeah, is he on the Giants?
Play for? Yeah, he's on the Giants.
That's a good ball too.
He has a chance if he wants to play for 2 or 3 more years. He might be the final pitcher to ever get to 300 career wins because he's got 262 right now. So if he can just be like a 4 ERA guy till he's 45, do the Nolan Ryan thing, he'll be the final 300 win pitcher in baseball history. I truly believe. But yeah, there's a clear ceiling on what the Giants can do.
Yeah.
Did you know they have Buster Posey running baseball operations now?
I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me at all. He just seems like one of those guys that'll do a front office role. He did.
In Buster Posey, we believe. At least that's what the Giants fans say, but I don't think it's this year. It's probably going to take a few years. They're going to probably have to go the Rangers route of you're signing a couple big name free agents like how they got Willie Adames this offseason. And then while you're adding guys via free agency to nice 4 or 5 year deals, then you just got to hope your prospects hit so that you can complement like the Rangers did. The Rangers have a pretty decent competitive rebuild blueprint that a lot of baseball teams could follow. Giants are just going to be a couple years away.
Yeah.
And they too might be able to finish second in the division and get a wild card spot one day.
Yeah. The Colorado Rockies. Last.
Hear me out. I like a lot of players on the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be good? Oh, hell no. They're probably going to lose 100 games. They will lose every game against the Dodgers this year. It's not going to be particularly close. They're paying Chris Bryant, one of like the top 10 to 15 highest paid players in baseball, to be one of the worst players in baseball. He'll also not play baseball because he's on his Anthony Rendon career arc. But I kind of like a lot of the Rockies players. I'm not going to lie. I like them. They're still not going to be able to pitch because, Coors.
Yeah.
But funny enough, so they have have you heard of Chase Dollander? So he's their top pitching prospect, and he would be like a top 5 prospect in all of baseball if he played for any other team than the Rockies. But because he pitches for the Rockies, he's like the 30th prospect.
Yeah.
So he'll come up at some point, and he had a mixed spring training, but he's crazy strikeout stuff. He should be fun. If anyone's ever gonna go on their Ubaldo Jimenez journey and have a good pitching season in Coors, it's going to be that guy. But they got some interesting players. Michael Toglia, he epitomizes the 3 true outcome approach to baseball, but he could go for 40 home runs in Coors. He's a fun fantasy guy. He's a very popular sleeper pick this year. Ryan McMahon, he's the most Trevor Plouffe-like baseball player since Trevor Plouffe. Or you just know what you're going to get every year.
Yep.
And he's not great. You always think he can be a little better. I'd actually be curious to see how much career WAR he has. I don't think it can be that much, but you know what you're going to get. You got Ezekiel Tovar at shortstop. And even though he doesn't walk, I like him. Brenton Doyle, that was a big fantasy riser last year. Popular 30-30 guy this year, but he's going to hit. He's more of a Coors merchant, so he's only going to hit at home. But I could just see this team making some noise. And the most important piece they have is former Twins legend Kyle Farmer, who, as we all know, he's a big club guy.
He made a nutty play against the Twins in the last spring training game, which was really weird because Grapefruit League versus Cactus League, they played each other the other day for whatever reason. But he made a nasty diving play at second to stop the ball from going into center, and glove flip to the shortstop to get the force, and that's the inning. So,
it's the revenge game. The revenge game, the spring training revenge game.
I think he could run into 20 home runs at Coors.
Kyle Farmer, Minnesota Twins Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, whatever it is.
Yes.
All right. Hey, they went 20 years without winning a playoff game until Kyle Farmer came to town. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. He was the glue guy. He was the anti-Donaldson.
Jordan Beck, too. That's another prospect I like. Power speed, but he's going to strike out 200 times, just like everyone else on their roster.
Yeah.
The Rockies are going to be the most fun 100-loss team of the last 2 decades. You heard it here first.
The anti-White Sox.
The anti-White Sox. They're not going to compete with the White Sox, but I think it'll be fun to see who scores fewer runs between the Marlins and the White Sox.
Oh, God. What a horrible thing to think about. All right. Who are the wild card teams in the NL?
Wild card teams? Yes. I have it. Oh, yeah. Phillies, Diamondbacks, Padres.
I like that. I have Phillies, Mets.
No Mets.
Whoever's able to scrape out second place in the West. I have those teams just jumbled, like the AL. It'll come down to it. Last 15 days, you should have
Diamondbacks, Padres.
Yeah.
Classic game 163. I guess we don't do game 163 anymore.
Just add
Kinda
wild
sad.
card. Yeah. No one's going to break Justin Morneau's record. 163 games played, one season.
True. And if Anthony Rendon gets his way, no one will ever tie the record, or no one will ever tie the 162 game record either. What a guy. Maybe the Twins can trade for him. They love guys with terrible medicals.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up the sports casuals MLB predictions for this season. Let us know in the comments if you disagree with anything that we said here. I'm sure you'll disagree with a lot of my novice takes. I don't know how you could disagree with any of Anthony's.
That's why it's the
Make
name
sure
of
to
the
let
show,
me know
man.
how wrong I was in the comment section 6 months from now when the Rockies win the World Series.